Thank you, Chuck, and thank you, John, for asking us to be here. I brought with me my husband, Bob Wolf. You know, this is kind of a team thing. We became Gold Star parents together, and that's how we live our lives. Almost 22 years ago, Bob and I became Gold Star parents. As you can imagine, it was the most heartbreaking and devastating thing that has happened to our family. We held on to our faith, our family, and each other just to get through the next minute, the next hour, the next day. One thing that has been consistent for all these years was the love and support, not only from our family and friends, but from this community. We still feel the love from those who were in boot camp and also members of the 52nd Engineer Battalion who served with James. While we did not know them before they went to Iraq, we gained an instant family when we met them, even under the sad circumstances. Now, I don't want to dwell on the sadness of the day. I don't want to stand up here and cry and make you guys cry. I want to share some of the things about our son. So if it's okay, I'm going to share with you some of the funny things about our son. James was the third of 4 children. He was always easygoing and just went with the flow. When he was in middle school, when he was in middle school, he and 2 of his closest friends spent many hours performing and filming with the family video camera as air bands in our garage. You guys all know what an air band is? It's when they have music playing and they're jamming out with their guitars and somebody's singing and somebody's drumming along. That's an air band. So they all took turns with different instruments and singing lead. We have the videotapes to prove it. One summer we painted our home and we had the kids helping us. So one evening we came home from work and the older kids said, you need to go look at the garage. So now you can imagine how mischievous preteen boys can be, and this was no exception. On the roof of our garage, he had proudly painted what he thought was the words, Son of Satan. Unfortunately, spelling was not one of Jamie's strengths, and instead he paints Son of Satin on our rooftop, which of course his siblings never let him forget. James loved to sing and was quite a dancer just like his dad. As a young boy, he loved singing songs from musicals. So for Christmas one year, I bought him a bunch of cassettes of popular musicals. This came back to us in visiting with one of his roommates from basic training. He told me, that guy was always singing musicals. And I went, yes, I did that. So that kind of all drove him crazy for a while. But now he understood where the musical stuff came from.
When the 52nd came home and they were talking to us, speaking of singing musicals, Jamie got the job of having to burn out latrines. And so his sergeant said it was the most unbelievable thing. He said, guys actually like going out and doing that. And I go, why? Well, because Jamie would lead them in Oklahoma while they were doing it. So in high school, he was part of the show choir. He loved show choir. And he had a wonderful choir director, Mr. Kathy. Now in high school, Jamie was a little over 6'4", and Kathy, who was a good, at least foot shorter than he was. Now she had no trouble in disciplining the students when she felt there was a reason, and being the jokester, James had his share of her wrath. She She shared with us one time that she had let him have it in class for one reason or another. And she all of a sudden began to hear the rest of the class snicker. She couldn't figure out why. Well, there were mirrors around on the side of the classroom there. And out of the corner of her eye, she could see Jamie standing there, his head bowed down, looking over the top of her, while she was sitting there wagging her finger at him. She couldn't help but laugh for herself. She also shared with us about a show choir trip to Missouri. It was late at night, and she just had everyone settled down, and most of them were asleep, which can be difficult for a bunch of high schoolers. Kathy was finally able to relax a little. From the back of the bus, this loud voice started singing Oklahoma, where the wind goes sweeping through the plains. Kathy almost threw him out of the back of the bus.
Then there was a time that he snuck out of the house one evening, and when he returned, we had gone to bed and had locked all the doors. So he tried to crawl in through his basement bedroom window, and he got stuck. So we heard noise. It was right underneath our bedroom, and we heard the noise, and so Bob went down there. I'm going to tell him about what he did.
So I go down and I asked him, I said, so what part of this did you think was a good plan? I don't know. I had to end up pulling him back out through the window so he could come back in the house.
While he was with the 52nd, he was known as Jolly Green because of his height and easygoing nature. When he was home on leave, he enjoyed a bath, and we could hear him singing and playing with our grandson's toys in the bathtub. Or he could be found on the floor of his comrades' homes playing Barbies or cars with the kids. He just got right into that. We love telling these funny times with James because it makes us laugh and it makes us smile. But I also want you to know he was really proud of being an Army soldier. He was proud to use his surveying skills, working with the people of northern Iraq to help build roads and schools. And seeing the pride in his eyes and hearing it in his voice certainly helped us in dealing with what happened to him. We didn't have to ask why, because he knew he was doing a good thing, and that was all we needed. I can still remember the day that I realized that I had two choices. One was to pull the covers over my head and just let sorrow take me away. But we had 3 other children, a grandson, and we had other family members that I didn't want to lose. My second choice was to do something every day to honor him. That choice not only changed my life, but it saved me. Working with and for veterans such as yourselves gave me the strength to help others and to treat them as I would want them to treat Jamie. It was all of you who saved me. I know all of you have experienced loss of one type or another, so you understand how we hold these memories close to our hearts. And the reason why we keep these funny stories alive about James alive is to make us laugh and smile when we think about him. And I can almost guarantee you that he is in heaven with his grandma, who is telling him, watch this. They could get into trouble. It's your mom. Yeah. Thank you for letting us share James with you today. And because this is a day of remembrance, We hope you will smile if one of his stories comes to mind later today. God bless you all, and God bless America.